Well, we got 4 Slumber Party Massacre movies, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm ranking all 4 Slumber Party Massacre films from worst to best. This should be interesting. All 4 of these films, oddly enough, is directed by women. You wouldn't really suspect that watching these, but it definitely is interesting. Don't forget to drop your ranking down in the comment section below. What's your favorite film? What's your least favorite film? Like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future rankings like this. And without wasting any more time, let's rank them. So kicking things off in last place at number 4, I'm going with Slumber Party Massacre 3. And this movie is so boring, so dull. It's exactly what you think a movie would be like part 3 in this sort of franchise. It's a slasher, but it doesn't have any interesting kills or an interesting killer. The effects aren't that great. Most of the kills are off screen. There's so much wrong with this movie. Like a lot of these other films, it's low budget, it has bad acting, but the movie, it's a terrible slasher. Like, there's no thrills or like any tense scenes at all. And on the other hand, there's no fun scenes, there's no humor in here like some of the other entries, so it's just so bland at the end of the day. And the film gives you so many red herrings to try to make you guess who's the killer, but I think it's pretty obvious from the get-go who the killer is, and his whole motive behind everything is kind of weird. Apparently he was sexually assaulted by his uncle, who is now passed because he committed suicide and he was a cop and all that stuff. Where it's like, you could have somehow worked that into this story, but that's it. That's the bare minimum they give you, and he really has no connection with these other kids that he's killing. I mean, we still don't really know why he's doing what he's doing to these kids particularly, so it's all kind of dumb at the end of the day. Just a really forgettable slasher with not really any redeemable qualities. I mean, shitty killer, forgettable characters. Like I said, the kills aren't interesting, so this one is easily last place for me. Up next at number 3, people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going with Slumber Party Massacre 2. Definitely a cult classic. It has its fans, that's for sure, and there is some fun to be had with this movie. But my God, I feel like this could have been executed so much better. I mean, right away, it's super goofy. The killer has a electric guitar with a drill on the end of it, and he's like this like rock and roll, like greaser type looking guy. It is so ridiculous, and I could appreciate that, okay? But yet the movie tries to be so serious in some scenes, and then we cut to that, which is incredibly ridiculous and goofy. So the tone is kind of all over the place and didn't really work for me. And the standout scenes are definitely with the guitar guy with the drill. I mean, there's a whole scene where it's like a music video where he's like dancing and getting ready to kill the girls. And the girls are acting like it's a regular slasher movie. They're still screaming and trying to get away while he's just having a good old time while doing it. Like I said, there's some fun to be had there, but it's not enough. Like, it's such a small section of the film like that. And there's another scene with him on a rooftop like soloing while laughing in like a very evil laugh, which cracked me up. So there is some entertainment value here, so it definitely stands above part 3, which was just lame. But then there's so much more wrong with this movie for me though. Again, the kills are nothing too special. Got a couple cool kills with like drills coming out of people and stuff, but nothing special. And the killer isn't even real. This is all basically trauma in Courtney's head, which is the little sister from the first film. She suffers from PTSD from what happened, the events of the first film. So throughout this entire movie, she's hallucinating and seeing this guy with this guitar drill and everything. And I think there's something they could have done there that would have been really clever. I wish the movie would have went in a direction where all these people were actually dying, but she was the one killing them, thinking that she's attacking the killer or something like that. There's some psychological warfare going on. I think you could have really tapped into that and made this a decent slasher with a twist. But no, instead, the twist they give you is the whole movie is in Courtney's head. Like, she's basically in an asylum the whole movie, and she's just gone crazy, and this is just some weird dream that she's having or whatnot, which is such a slap in the face. I hate when movies do that. It works mostly never when you have the whole movie being a dream. So, and this is no different. I hated that aspect to this film because it just takes away from everything, from the kills, from the killer himself. It's like, so was this imaginary? I guess it would make more sense with the context of the film with how goofy things were, but still, like, it's just not satisfying to me. And I really did think they might have been going into that direction where she was killing everybody, because there's a scene where the carburetor starts running in the house and it sounds like bones cracking in that, and one of their friends is missing. So they suspect her being in there. And that would have been awesome if she was, because it would have really just, really flipped the film on its head. But no, they go the cheap route where it's all fake. It's all just in her head and she's crazy. Movie is basically a waste of time to me. But like I said, if you love this movie, that's fine. It's definitely a cult classic. It got like a 3 to 5 on Letterboxd, so it definitely has its fans. To me, I'd rather just watch the highlights on YouTube or whatever, like the whole music video scene with the killer. Aside from that, I don't think I'll ever revisit this movie. It just didn't work for me personally. And there's just a lot of weird stuff in here. Like, she's having a sandwich, and next thing you know, it's like a hand with blood on it, and she's like, I'm freaking out. Some questionable stuff in this film. So I get it if you love this, but it's just not for me. Coming up next at number 2, I'm going with Slumber Party Massacre from 2021, the reboot. Made by the Sci-Fi Channel, surprisingly enough. Anything Sci-Fi Channel touched in the past was always garbage, for the most part. But I feel like in recent years, they're starting to get the hang of things with like Leprechaun Returns, and now this. Still not a great movie by any means. I actually enjoyed it much more on my first watch when it came out a few years ago. On this rewatch, I started to have more problems with it. It's more of a mixed bag now than actually being a decent film. But starting with the positives, I think the kills are actually really good in here, especially for a Sci-Fi Channel type movie. Perhaps the goriest of all the films, up there with the original anyway, so that was a nice warm welcome. There's a reveal little twist in the film regarding our characters where they're going back to this cabin by a lake or whatever, where one of the characters' mom was attacked in the past and she survived, her friends all died, and they're going back there. And at start you're like, why are these characters making such dumb decisions going back? It's like they're just asking to be killed. But then it's revealed that the girls went there to actually kill the killer themselves, and they all have weapons on them, and they're just pretending to drink in that because they actually have a plan, and they're standing guard, watching out for them. I thought that was really cool, especially the first time I watched it. On rewatch, it didn't hold up as good as I remembered. It's still clever. I still like that they added that into the storyline where it's not just this straight up slasher with these dumb characters. But the problem I have with that reveal is once we know what's going on, then the characters are supposed to have a plan and everything, yet they make the dumbest decisions after we know what they're up for, like what they're going to do. Like, for example, like when the killer does come, they all split up and run in different directions. It's like, I thought you guys planned this out. And I highly doubt that this kid whose mom was a survivor would be able to convince their friends to all go in the woods and murder someone, even if they're a killer. Like, it seems pretty far-fetched, but this is a movie, so I give it some slack. But aside from that, I'm not the biggest fan of these characters. They have this like new age Gen Z type dialogue, which I'm not fond of. Kind of annoys me. Some people might call this woke. Perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. I don't like using that term. I feel like it's just a trigger word. But yeah, like even the director stated that she wanted to make a statement this time around and, fix things that were wrong with the original. I don't think she fixed anything. I think that she just made for some weird dialogue scenes. There's like one scene where the guys that are at a different cabin figure out what's going on. They're like, we'll protect you, we'll murder the killer. And they're like, white privilege for males has gotten so bad they want to out murder us. It's like, we don't need that type of dialogue in this film. Now, that line kind of bothered me. And there's other lines in there like that where it just has me rolling my eyes. And I'm like, is this what the director meant by improving it and everything? I don't know, but definitely feels like there's some agenda here at the end of the day. And I thought they made Russ Thorn, the killer, just so generic in this one. Like, he really stood out in the original, but in here, he just comes off as kind of this pervert, this kind of creepy guy with a drill, but not scary in any way. He feels like someone you could actually take if you ran into him in the woods. So, and yeah, there's not much to him. Like, I just feel like they should have went in a new direction with him instead of just trying to copy the original and then failing at doing so. So yeah, this movie, I have pretty much just as much problems as I do with the positives here. So they kind of outbalance themselves, but I do appreciate that they did change it up a bit. I like the self-awareness and the meta-ness of the film. The humor doesn't always work. The dialogue is kind of crap. But maybe this next generation will love this type of flick. But for me, it's definitely not my favorite out of this franchise. It's a mixed bag. But for me, easily coming in the first place in this franchise is the Slumber Party Massacre from 1982. This slasher, it's one of those movies that get better on every rewatch. When I first watched it many years ago, I thought it was just okay for a slasher movie. But as you keep rewatching it, you learn to love these characters and just love the style of the movie and the humor. Like, this movie does it best with its humor and its horror. It's really balanced out well. It knows when to be funny. It knows when to be scary. Unlike all these other entries, unfortunately. A few humor scenes that cracks me up is one where the pizza guy's dead and he still has the pizza at the door and they touch him. They're like, he's cold. They're like, is the pizza? Like, they're just thinking about the pizza still. Or like that scene where the two sisters, Valerie and Courtney, are in the house and they're opening the fridge, but the girl keeps turning her head and there's a dead body in there about to fall out, but she keeps like not seeing it and shutting the door. Hilarious moment there too. But when it's time to be scary, like I said, this goes full-blown slasher when it needs to. I love all the characters. I think our main group of characters are fun, having their slumber party, Trish and the gang. They're all kind of unique in their own ways. But the two standouts here are definitely Valerie and Courtney, the two sisters. They're new to town, new to the class and everything, so they weren't exactly invited to the party, but the younger sister wants to go check it out regardless. And just their camaraderie, like, you can tell that they're siblings. I love the way they were written and the dialogue and everything. And yeah, they're definitely great characters. I wish we could have seen more of them, if I'm being honest, like in the sequels or whatnot. Unfortunately, the girl who played Valerie did pass away. Which is very unfortunate, but she was friggin' amazing in this flick. And of course, getting into the killer, my main man, Russ Thorn, I feel like easily the best killer in this franchise. He's, like I said, he's creepy, but he's still scary. He's not a guy you want to run into in a back alley or anything. He has that intimidation factor to him. And the whole thing with his drill is really like his third appendage, like trying to be like his penis or whatever, was kind of clever. You know, something we never really seen in slasher movies. Of course, slasher movies always deals with drugs, sex, and killings, right? So this one kind of intertwines all three of those. And all these movies have their level of sleaze, and this one's no different. I mean, they have a whole shower scene at the high school, like when the girls are in their locker room having showers or whatever. It's full on in there, and that's another reason why I'm like, really? This was directed by a woman? And nowadays, every time I see a really sleazy movie, like a modern one, I'm looking at the director. I'm like, I bet you any money a woman made this. And 9 times out of 10, it is. One example, Love Lies Bleeding, that newer movie, where you get a couple lesbian scenes that last quite a long time. Like, the camera seems to linger on the scene for a while. And I had to look it up. And sure enough, a woman directed it. So what's that say about women? Maybe they're more sleazy than men. Who knows? But it's just funny that you see that, because I know this movie got called out for being misogynist and everything. And it's like, dude, it was directed by a woman. Produced by Roger Corman, however, which, you know, does make sense. And at the end of the day, this is still a B-level slasher. It's not top of the genre or anything, but I think it works well. It knew its tone, it knew how much comedy and how much horror to place without unbalancing it. Great characters, some pretty damn good kills, a good killer, and a really thrilling final act. I love the whole final act next to the pool where they're taking Russ out. So to me, this one is easily the best out of the 4 flicks. I have the steelbook and everything. It's probably the only one I'll really return to in the future. So for me, this one comes in the first place in my ranking. So there you have it, guys. There's my quick ranking of all 4 Slumber Party Massacre movies. I mean, they're not real deep or anything, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. They're just turn your brain off, have some popcorn type slasher films, which I can appreciate that aspects to the films, but not all of them work, even though they have their fans, and that's great. It's always great when even these so bad it's good type movies have their fans, you know? There's something out there for everybody. Just make sure you drop your ranking down below in the comment section. I'd love to see it, see how we line up. Is my list a bad list? Perhaps, but it's all subjective. It's only my opinion, guys, so try to respect the opinion of my ranking, and I will do the same for yours. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Links to those are always in the description of my videos, guys. That's all I got for you guys today. Stay tuned for more rankings in the future, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, thanks for watching.